if you go to Marketplace EU, this is the landing page where you see effectively the 5 different service categories that you can effectively access through the service. You will find it about the marketplace itself, why we moved into the marketplace area, and as well information about the service providers that are making this marketplace available to us. So if I quickly walk you through buying, in inverted commas, some resources or accessing resources, we're going to start with the compute part first. Hopefully it moves quickly enough. Click through to compute. You get through to some subcategories, they stay very nicely. And in this instance, we're going to select the cloud computing resource. And then once that is loaded, you'll see this page here, which it gives you a little bit of background. And if you scroll to the bottom, there's 4 different types of, and select request access to a general purpose instance, which then takes you to this page here, where you get some description about the features and the sort of ideal applications. And then on the far right, you see here, you can select the type of resources that you want. So for this example, we want to select 2 CPU cores. We want to have 4 gigabytes of RAM per CPU core. For the local disk storage, we're going to select 40 gigabytes. The number of VM instances, you can scale up and down. For this step, we'll just select 10. Access type is an important, it's either opportunistic or reserved. So if you select reserved, that kind of means that you want to run the 24/7 service, meaning that the can always be available. If opportunistic, it's something like batch processing of files, for example, that don't need time or in an operational setting, but can run whenever there's availability of resources. So for this example, we're going to choose reserved, and for argument's sake, we're going to choose public. And then the number of days the service is running is default 265 days, and that is, for this example, add to cart, and then to this page, you've successfully selected a general purpose instance, and we are going to continue so we go back and we want to show the example of selecting a different computing. For this instance, we want to try a high memory instance. So after you can select again the number of cores to 2, and the nice thing here is in this you can add RAM for each CPU. Then similarly, you can select the local VM instances, etc. And then again, you add to, once that's done, there's now 2 items in your cart. And for the last step, together with our 2 sort of computing instances, we would like to have, so obviously you can't necessarily run active data storage. So we click on storage, and then there's subcategories that Diego outlined. For example, we're going to use online storage. And in a cloud computing environment, the most commonly used storage request access here. It takes us to this page, and there you can decide to you want whether or not it's 100 gigs. You can scale that as you. Again, we select reserve. Requirements you might have. You could list here. For our purposes here, we're going to say this is an example, so that we know on our end not to necessarily process this request. And then you can proceed to checkout. And then once you get to the checkout, you get a summary of your see the details of requested instances, and you can also reload them and customize them, or you as you see fit. And then the next step is to, at the bottom here, is you have to sign into your either if you can quickly create one. This takes about 1 minute. You can sign on, you select your institution, and then it just takes you to the EGI single sign-on. In my case, I'm going to use the EGI SSO, and because I have an account there, and I just log in, and then once that's completed, it'll take the next bit here, which gives me sort of a summary of my account here, which you can then update if you want to. When you're processing your shopping, you need to give us some information about who you are. So whether or not you represent a research community or a project, whether or not you're a private company, or if you're a single user. And then it's always good to give us some information about why you're requesting the EGI services. And specifically around the case of funding, as Diego explained, we have two funding models. The one is the sort of pay-per-use funding model, and the other one is if your research is aligned with research strategy and vision of the service provider. In other words, the computing center that's providing you with the resource that you're doing is well aligned with what they want to support, then your resources will be provided for free, following some negotiation. So here you provide some detail as much as possible so that we can negotiate that with service providers on your behalf. And otherwise, you leave us a message here. So I'm going to just type in here webinar example, that because once we've processed this, it'll go to the support team, and then we start engaging with you and the service provider, and make sure that the right service provider is giving you the resources that you requested. So when agree to the terms and conditions, you can confirm your order, and then that's because I didn't give a reason why I want to have EGI resources. I'm just going to say I don't have enough computing power. So I'm going to confirm. No, actually not. Usually with these, some trouble. Affiliate is being processed now. So there you go. Then once you've processed that, it goes into your order history, where you will be with some messages about. It usually takes us about 3 working days to process your request. You can here find your request and either go back to your account or continue shopping.